Coming up next on NewsMakers, we saw the Gulf Coast High School Shark Band at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. What went into the preparations and what are the memories now that they're back here in Southwest Florida? Stay with us.
As they are sonically powerful. Let's watch and listen to their plan.
Staying on the float, and Q band. Okay, stand by Savannah. And Q Savannah.
One take. Go. Band director Justin Goff marches at the enormous Gulf Coast High School Shark Band. As the largest high school marching band in Florida, they are visually stunning as they are sonically powerful. Let's watch and listen to their blend of Staying Alive and Disco Inferno.
There's your light band. Three take. One take. Two take. Lights are gonna start. Seven take. Three take. Six take. Five take.
We have another marching band. We love these bands from all over the country. They represent the best in America and the best of the marching band program in America. And now we have the Gulf Coast High School Shark Band from Florida. Under band director Justin Goff, it is the largest high school marching band in Florida. We're thrilled you're joining us today. Are you all excited? Okay, please join the parade.
You've seen the sights and the sounds of the Gulf Coast High School Shark Band in New York City for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And now joining us here in the studio for Naples Daily Newsmakers is the band director, Justin Goff of Gulf Coast High School. Thank you for joining us here today on Newsmakers.
It's my honor. It's nice to be here.
So you're back in Southwest Florida here. The trip up to the Thanksgiving Day Macy's Parade was a long time in planning. You'd been at Gulf Coast High since when, April of
Yeah, I was
this
hired
year?
in April.
So this goes way back before that with Steve DeLonorante and Austin Gomez helping bring it up to date. Is that sort of an accurate description of how long this was in the planning stages?
Yeah, actually, Steve DeLonorante was the band director until 2013. He actually applied. He actually applied his second time. We weren't actually selected our first time. So the second time we were selected, and unfortunately that was the year that he decided he was going to change careers, so he could spend some more time with his family. But yeah, so it was April of 2013 when we announced that we were going to be there, and been planning and working hard ever since.
And this truly is a great selection process. I mean, there are very, very few bands that get the distinction of going to participate in this event. Is that correct?
Yeah, we actually talked about this while we were up at a meeting, and they say between 200 and 300 bands apply every year, and they choose between 10 and 12. So it's a huge honor just to be selected. Something that the school's very proud of, that I'm very proud of, the kids are very proud of, and hopefully the community is very proud of.
Anybody who's has a teenager or has had a teenager realizes how difficult it is sometimes to get that one teenager through their life. How many teenagers were you sort of in charge of here for this event?
I was responsible for 354.
354. What are some of the logistics that have to go into something like that, Justin, in order to get that group of students up there successfully?
You name it, it's a feat. I mean, we have 354 kids that play instruments, so we have to get their instruments, their uniforms up there. We've got to get 354 kids onto a plane, and you can't charter flights like that anymore. So we flew on 5 flights out of 3 cities, all over South Florida, including St. Petersburg and Fort Lauderdale. Once we get there, we've got 9 charter buses. You've got to find restaurants that can accommodate a party of 400 at any given time. So I don't think anyone quite understands, except for the group of chaperones that really helped us out, really understands just the logistics behind all of it. I don't even think I actually understand all of it.
You mentioned the chaperones there, Justin. What in terms of the number of students that each chaperone was required to take care of?
Yeah, we have, there's actually a group of about 6 people that really planned the trip, as far as the coordinating of everything, including, getting people from point A to point B and where we're going to eat, and the distribution of medicines and room assignments and who's riding what bus. And then we also had a group of 34 chaperones that were each responsible for 10 to 12 kids. And so at any given time, you could look around and see 34 parents counting, up to 10 to make sure that we haven't lost anybody at any given time.
It's probably good to remind folks too that that's a lot of people giving up, if you will, their Thanksgiving back here with family, and that's a tremendous amount of dedication that had to go into this event.
Yeah, I don't think many people realize that not only did they give up their Thanksgiving, as well as 5 days of sleep, they actually paid to go. So that was and they had to spend their own personal money to be a part of this, very memorable occasion.
And what did that break down to per student roughly? Is it
it cost us about $1,500 a kid.
$1,500 per student, and that again, there's no school district money that went into that really.
The district did provide us with some assistance financially, and everything they do for us, we greatly appreciate. So, but most of it did come right from the kids.
And you mentioned in there briefly that there are restaurants to try to get parties of 400 seated for. What are some of the sites that you all were able to go up there and take in beyond the big day event itself?
Yeah, we sent our kids to they got to go to the Statue of Liberty and visit that. We had dinner and breakfast down in Times Square, so they were able to see that. One morning, we kind of took them down to Rockefeller Center, and they were in their small groups. They were just kind of free to do whatever they wanted to do in their small group. I think that was, yeah, we also took a bus tour of the city. So we got to go down and see World Trade Center, and it was kind of up to the buses as far as where they went, Central Park, and we tried to cram in as much as we could inside of a 96-hour trip.
I would imagine for some of the teenagers here, maybe the tallest building they've seen are some of the condos along the beach, and then they get transplanted into New York City. Was there a real wow factor there for a number of them?
I remember that. I mean, that was one of my the good memories I have of this trip, as you know, or I guess best memories, because there's lots of good memories. Is the moment we stepped off that bus and just all their eyes shot to the sky, trying to find the top of the buildings. It was pretty entertaining for me.
Yeah. So let's fast forward here to the day of the parade itself. How long of a route is the parade? I mean, everybody saw on TV, you know, the concentrated place in front of Macy's, but
Yeah. So it starts 2.5 miles away, near Central Park, and then basically they start the parade at 9 a.m. and the first group has 30 minutes to make it 2.5 miles, because then they're live on TV. It is all very planned out and very scheduled. They told us we would be on TV at 10:36, and that is the exact time we stepped on. And so, yeah, what you saw on TV was started with a 2.5 mile, not easy march. It was faster than we had ever practiced as far as the speed of that parade. I was actually kind of worried about that about halfway through, as they told me to go faster, and we were already moving faster than we had ever practiced.
wow. And the distance too, 2.5 miles, is there anything that's been comparable to that distance for them?
No, we participated in a lot of the local parades, and most of them was right around 3/4 of a mile. So, you know, it'd be 3 of those.
And the music that you played there, what went into the selection in terms of what was actually there? You know, we saw what was on TV, but what all was some of the selections you played along?
Yeah, we played some disco tunes. Our marching show this year was a disco show, and so we just kind of pulled from that, just to minimize how much outside of school time we had to take away from the kids. The kids are very involved, and you name it. And plus, they're, you know, some of the best and brightest kids in the school, so they keep pretty involved. So one of our goals when we were choosing literature was just choosing literature that we could get multiple uses out of. So we played Funky Town and Disco Inferno and Staying Alive and a lot of just, you know, classic, very recognizable disco tunes.
So the students are used to getting up and being at high school at 7 o'clock in the morning, but if I remember correctly from something I read of our coverage, you had to be out there a little bit earlier than 7 a.m. on the day of the parade. What time was it?
We had a rehearsal that morning in Herald Square. Our rehearsal started at 3:30 a.m., which required a 11:30 p.m. wake-up call, which was led up to with a dinner that we got back to the hotel around 8 o'clock, had a meeting with the kids, and told them, you know, you've got 3 hours to go to bed. I'm sure all of them immediately went upstairs and climbed right into bed, just like all good teenagers would do.
And went out just like that.
I'm sure,
too.
yeah.
They weren't all jacked up about getting in the
Right.
parade.
In fact, my phone was blowing up with text messages from, these kids are doing this and that, and so. But yeah, so we were up at 11:30 p.m. and we actually made it into New York in record time. I had planned for an hour to get there. We made it in 15 minutes. So then we had about 40 minutes of downtime. So the kids got a little power nap on the bus. Had a rehearsal at 3:30. It lasted all of 10 minutes. Went by literally in the blink of an eye. Took them to breakfast, and there's some awesome pictures of them sleeping all over Hard Rock Cafe, getting a power nap before the parade. But yeah, headed back and then we were back downtown, or back in Central Park at 7 o'clock, and stepped off at 9. So it was pretty intense, 14 hours.
So basically 4 days you mentioned with no sleep. A lot of dedication went into this, $1,500 per student. Is that all taken care of now, or is there a continuing need on the part of the Gulf Coast High School Shark Band in terms of going forward?
The trip is paid for. We're finalizing. I mean, we're still got bills coming in, but we're kind of finalizing that now. But it takes a lot to run a band of 350 kids. An average instrument costs us $2,000. So we're always looking for donations. And if they want to just go to our webpage, which is gchsharkband.com, we're always willing to take donations.
Justin Goff, we want to thank you for joining us here in the studio and bringing 354 marching Shark Band members back to Southwest Florida from your trip to Macy's parade. We'll be back. Stay with us. Lindsay Hurley, the head drum major for the Gulf Coast Shark Band, will be on set. Stay with us. There she is, Lindsay Hurley, the head drum major for the Gulf Coast High School Band at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And now she joins us here in the studio with her mother, Kathy. Thank you both for joining us here today on Naples Daily Newsmakers.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So we heard from the band director a little bit earlier in the program and talked a little bit about all the coordination that had to go on. You were one of the chaperones along on this. Talk to us a little bit, Kathy, if you would, about the experience that you had in New York as a chaperone.
Oh my gosh, it was like no other. The logistics of taking 334 high school students on the trip of a lifetime, it's just incredible what went into it. The planning. We had 34 chaperones, I believe, that were in charge of the kids. We each had a group of 10 students that we were responsible for. We had lists for who was on which flight, and then we had to decide that the head band mom, Corey Oleos, did an amazing job of figuring all this out. She had to figure out who was the lead flight chaperone, and then we had to check people in on buses, who was on which bus to get to the airport, who was on which bus to get to the hotel. Then we had different bus lists once we got to New Jersey, how to get bused into the city, who was responsible for waking students up. It was amazing. There was a lot to it.
You've been back for a few days now, Lindsay. Have you been able to finally get some sleep based on what you had in New York?
I've caught up, yes. However, we got back Friday, so we had to go back to school on Monday.
Yeah.
So I was able to catch up on my sleep over the weekend, but then just early call times again for school and everything.
So you've been back a few days now. What are some of the memories that you have of being up in New York with us?
A lot of the memories that were made up in Macy's were, just being together and being with the friends that you have. I think the largest memory, of course, was obviously marching in the parade and just finally having that time on Herald Square. It all became real on Thanksgiving Day when we marched.
How do you prepare for something like that, given the fact that you've got the relatively small field here, and this was, I think your band director said, 2.5 miles. How do you prepare for that?
The planning and the preparation for the parade is a whole nother component to marching band for our school. Of course, we have Tuesday, Thursday practices for football season for high school, but this Macy's parade extended our practices, so we actually continued Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we also added some Saturday practices. And what we did was we actually marched in circles for 2.5 miles,
Wow.
which is about an hour.
Yeah.
However, when we got to the parade, it didn't seem like 2.5 miles. It didn't seem as long as it was, just because we were all excited to be there.
She talked a little bit about her memories. Kathy, what is it a few days later now that is sticking in your mind in terms of your memories of being up there?
I'm still pinching myself that I was actually standing along the streets of New York City watching my daughter march in the band in the parade. It's hard to describe if you were not there. And I think all the band moms and even the band dads are the same way. We just keep going on Facebook or going online to find one more picture and one more video. It's just such pride that your child got to experience something so amazing. My goosebumps are still on my arms.
I think there's an element there too that we all need to recognize. This was over Thanksgiving, so it really was a true commitment on the part and a lot of dedication for the families to go up there, and instead of having Thanksgiving back at home. Is that
right? I think just because it was truly a once-in-a-lifetime trip, it was neat that so many of the kids, parents, the band kids, even though they might not have been chaperones, they were, in New York along the parade route, screaming, crying, holding up their scarves or their, little Gulf Coast mementos just to show their support, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And so now you're back here again, and is this the final chapter for the Gulf Coast Band, or what's coming up next for you all?
This is most definitely not the final chapter for the band. This coming week, we're actually working on the Gulf Coast High School Marching Band's Prism concert, and that'll be December 10th and 11th, I believe. And that's going to be exciting. That's always a really exciting concert. And we also have just so many other things to prepare for, like next year, and other concerts and solos and things like that.
And as a mom, what do you have to look forward to?
I'm trying hard not to be sad that this is her senior year, because the band family is honestly like no other. The parents become very close friends. We get very close to the kids. The students I was chaperoning in New York City, I dearly love. I did not know them before that, and now, I mean, I just love them like my own. Like she said, the Prism is coming up, solos are coming up after Christmas. They have just so many things.
The work that we put in doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Just because we finished something, yes, we celebrate and we have memories and we reflect on that, but we always look forward as well to prepare to be the best that we can be.
You kind of touched on it there, but I hadn't thought about that. I mean, there's got to be a tremendous bond that formed with all of the planning and all of the work that went into this. Have you seen even greater cohesiveness among all the parents and the band members with this?
I mean, like I said, it is incredible. The band parents truly are very, very close friends. The kids are close friends. I mean, the band community at that school, there's such a large percentage of students at the high school that are in the band. It is truly just one big family. We totally bond and totally gel. We're friends outside of band, we're friends in band. So it's amazing.
And what about you, Lindsay? Have you seen the band getting even tighter together now?
I think we've always been definitely a cohesive unit. However, this trip, I think, really brought together the students and the band parents. But another thing that's really important is that the relationship that the band students have with the band parents is also incredible. I know, speaking on behalf of the students, we're absolutely so thankful for all of the work that they put in. We know that they put in countless and endless hours just to volunteer to make the program that we have so spectacular in what it is today. So I know that we're thankful and for what they do and the support that they give us.
Well, we can't top that thought. So, Kathy and Lindsay, we want to thank you for joining us here today on Naples Daily Newsmakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was incredible. We marched in Chicago last year, and so we've done some like city parades like that, but I mean, it's New York and nothing can compare to being in a parade like Macy's, where you see it on TV and you see like the upper level shots from like the sky, but it's like so different to be on the ground and marching in it.
And like after all the anticipation with like the months of practice and or basically years of just talking about it, it was almost surreal that it was actually happening, and I don't think it has registered still that we did it. I'm just like, oh, we marched in a parade, but we marched in the Macy's parade.